Hey guys, Akiba here from CryptoSlate. Today with me, we have someone building on the Lens protocol, and that is Jonathan from Phaver. Is one of the co-founders and CEO. How are you doing, Jonathan? Oh, Jonathan.
I'm doing
How do I
well.
pronounce your name properly? I don't want to get it wrong.
No worries. I usually just go with Jonathan because Jonathan, the Finnish way, is pretty hard for people with the double O.
Yeah. I remember. I actually remember being on holiday in Europe, trying to being laughed at by a bunch of Dutch guys I was chatting with, trying to pronounce the word for, I think it was onion, which was like an ow sound that to me I was doing, and they were just absolutely rolling around laughing because I just couldn't get it right. It's just something that the vowel sounds that we just can't do in the sort of the western part of Europe. I agree. So tell us a little bit about Phaver. I've been playing with it myself. I'm on there. I'm a big fan of the Lens protocol, as people will know. So yeah, tell me, so how does Phaver different, and what's the sort of the yeah, what's it all about?
Yeah. So Favor is, first of all, we're the first native mobile app on the Lens protocol. So we released about 30 minutes after the mainnet launch was announced this spring.
Hmm.
And we'd been actually building a mobile app for social already before that. We got essentially a 6-month head start that Lens is building something cool in the background. So we were able to start kind of optimizing towards that, as we realized very early on that if you actually want to build a Web3 social, you should not be the one controlling kind of the social graph and the back end of
Mm,
things. And
yeah.
the end result is that like Instagram could give you a profile that's an NFT, but they could also tell you you're no longer welcome on Instagram with that profile, and with that, it wouldn't actually give any value. So with
Hmm.
Lens, what it means is the users have control of their own profile through the NFTs and their own social relationships through the follow NFTs. So we realized that's something we have to do from the get-go, allow users to kind of really own the interoperable data. And then on top of that,
Hmm.
it means when the users own the data, then our job is to actually just build the best interface for users to come with their own data and interact with each other. And that kind of like very much changes the premise of building a social network.
Hmm.
So one of the kind of incentives we are also building on top of it is a dual token economy. So kind of taking some parts of what Axie Infinity and Steppen and the other X2 earns have been doing and bringing those to what we call share to earn. So essentially, if you're curating or creating high quality content, or just kind of helping us moderate the bad content away, for example. So all of that labor that's currently in Web 2 happening and not being rewarded directly at all. So you get some Reddit
Hmm.
karma for your moderation, you get some likes on Instagram, but then you have to kind of find additional avenues to make any revenue if you actually want to pay your
Hmm.
rent. So we
Yeah.
believe that kind of bringing that on top of that ownership-driven platform can really kind of bring really the best parts of Web3 into social as well.
Yeah, it's really democratizing social, isn't it, and giving people ownership back over their own content. Um, I've just realized that we've changed the format of this podcast to the fact we'll actually officially made it into a podcast now. It's now called the SlateCast. You're actually probably the first guest now to be on the official SlateCast. And with that being said, before we get to the next part, I'm actually going to run the really quick intro that I was meant to run. So 2 seconds, we'll be right back.
Very cool.
Boom, SlateCast. So Phaver, it's a mobile app. So I've been playing it as well with other parts of the protocol, which are obviously all within the same ecosystem. So you've got like Lenster, you've got LensTube, um, and you can go on like Lens Friends to like find people, and there's more things being built all the time. Um, and just it's absolutely phenomenal to me to think that I thought that when I first got into Lens, it was like, okay, great, my profile's already been set up for me because I've got a Lens profile, so I can go into each platform and with a fully created profile and then start making my content. But it's not, is it? Is on Lens, your content is on the protocol, and then whichever apps are built on it can decide which content to pull from that, whether to ignore certain parts, like say LensTube just pulls video. Um, how have you been finding like working with that sort of remit, with there being sort of people making content on other platforms, such as say like Lenster, that then integrates into yours?
Yeah, I think there's kind of obviously pros and cons to an approach like that where on the other hand, like right now we're about, I think the last number was 57% of posts on Lens were made through Phaver. So a slight majority, but also means we get a lot of content where we can't really control the format. And for example, until now, we haven't been able to support video and GIFs. So
Yeah, GIFs do break it a little bit at the moment, don't they?
Yeah.
I posted a
There's, I
panda
don't
GIF,
know.
and like my whole feed is just one big panda.
Yeah, that's like, I don't know, the worst possible way to handle GIFs would be to kind of create a reel out of it. So that's what Image Proxy decided to do. But we're now happy to announce that as of today's testing, if everything goes well, on Monday or Tuesday, we have the GIF support in the feed and native video coming as well. So then we're able to actually support kind of all the major formats. It obviously works the other way around. So we also have a chat with all of the kind of core developers for Lens, where we're also kind of making sure that, for example, post data that we pass on to Lenster and Orb and the others is going to be kind of compatible, since it's not really any of our interest to kind of provide a worse user experience on the other platforms, because it's the same users and the same consumers who are kind of switching across them. And that's kind of a key point of everything. I think it will kind of go into more and more segmented things like Lens 2 purely being videos. I'm sure there will be kind of a Lens-driven TikTok at a very near future, considering how big the short form video is and all that. And kind of it's not really making sense to support everything in one feed. But what Phaver is trying to do is kind of, we want to really focus on the discovery element of kind of bringing in all the content we can from both Lens and also elsewhere, and then kind of allowing the users to essentially vote on the best content through the staking mechanism.
You mentioned there elsewhere. So where is elsewhere?
Yeah, so right now what we're doing is kind of we're incentivizing users to also share their favorite YouTube videos or best tweets they see. We have kind of a native preview built for all of those inside the feed, as we do recognize that majority of the great content already has been generated on the Web2 platforms. And it's kind of in everyone's best interest to get some of that into Web3 as well, essentially kind of on-chaining some of the content. That being said, it's always a bit pesky because obviously Twitter doesn't want you to scrape their content. So you have to kind of do it through preview, copy pastes and stuff like that. But then what will be, I think, really cool is that once the kind of Web3 social ecosystem starts maturing, there will be probably other protocols besides Lens that are kind of becoming trendy. And with the permissionless nature of kind of the on-chain protocols, it's then going to be possible to just kind of keep integrating content from various sources into the same feed without a kind of API gatekeeper in between saying that you can't use Twitter content because it's ours. So then from a user perspective, it's possible to kind of create these sort of super apps that migrate all of your kind of different social chains together. And that's kind of where Phaver is trying to kind of drive things in the future.
Yeah, and I mean, say my background is in marketing. I ran a marketing agency for 13 years, and what you're building is something that I predicted would be the future of social at some point. There to be an app that is the sort of an aggregator that can pull it together. And I think you really sort of hit the nail on the head in terms of like Web3 actually allows us to do that. So there's never been an incentive before for platforms to really allow another platform to become the curation tool. Like they want you in their app because they can control it there. But you say like permissionless nature of Lens, and hopefully the other protocols. I know there are some other social media protocols on Web3, but for me, Lens is the one that's really stood out, and I think it's because it's built by Aave, and the team at Lens are all former TikTok, like you say about there being a TikTok on Lens. Well, like some of the people that are responsible for the overhaul of social media are now working on Lens, and I think that's one of the most exciting things. Do you agree? Do you think that Web2 experience is what's really driving it?
Yeah, I think there's kind of like, well, one of the key things is to obviously kind of have people who understand Web2, kind of the good and bad sides of it sort of in depth. So there's a lot of folks from the TikTok organization working for Lens right now, kind of, I think, or in a way making amends, just like I am for kind of spending a decade in paid social, working at Google, working with the like biggest Facebook advertisers around, and kind of helping monetize people's eyeballs for a decade, essentially. So what we're trying to now do is build something that actually kind of makes amends also for all of that. and helps
Yeah,
people
and
actually
it
connect with
rewards.
in
Yeah,
a
and it
more
rewards
genuine.
users rather than the protocol. So, as you say, with sort of staking and mirroring and being able to airdrop to followers, how easy that is means that you can incentivize your followers to share your content rather than paying a protocol. That being said, how then does Phaver work commercially?
Yeah. So kind of how we want to build it is that we're really aligning the interests of us and the users. And I think the tokenomics are a great way to do that, where only if there is a functioning token economy will that token have value long term. And only if token has value long term, then us as a team are able to actually kind of make money out of selling some of our tokens, because obviously there's a lock-in period for
Hmm.
everyone involved in building it, and kind of only through that will there be a sustainable economy. So kind of the problem with the
Oh,
Web2
wow. Okay.
model is that, yeah, go ahead.
So you're not like taking points on any transactions or anything. You're just investing in that. If we build an economy that's got value, then we all kind of we all going to make it, sort of thing.
Yeah, so I think kind of for the like the biggest opportunity I think is really making the tokens worth something in the long term, and that obviously brings kind of money into the treasury itself and kind of liquidity for the Phaver tokens that are going to be generated. But then
Hmm.
we are also kind of we're not very naive about kind of let's just do it all in a completely new way. So in the end, kind of there always have to like if you try to conjure value out of thin air, it's gonna eventually implode. So
Hmm.
you can make your market cap into 18 billion with the meme coin, but then if there's no inherent value, eventually kind of the meme will run out of like juice and it's gonna
Hmm.
crash. But
Hmm.
kind of you need to also bring the value in somehow. Obviously, one cool part of social is that you're actually kind of when you're creating a high quality post, whether it's a meme or a video or whatever, you are creating actual value for the people who see it. Not necessarily enough to
Hmm.
kind of pay a dollar every time they see something, but it's enough to kind of like amass value. Whereas
Hmm.
in kind of play to earn, for example, it's a lot harder to see what the actual value generated by playing a game is for
Mm.
other users. So that already helps kind of bring sustainability. But we're also planning on adding sort of an ad-based monetization model that kind of
Okay.
they take some of the learnings, the good and the bad learnings of Web2, where the idea is that we don't want to do an invasive monetization model where we scrape your online history and scrape your DMs and inbox like Google and Facebook do, but rather we're going to have
Hmm.
it contextually targeting the topics inside Phaver. So let's say you're Nike, you want to do a sneaker drop, you can go and make an organic post in the sneakers topic, then you go and buy some of Phaver's tokens from the market or use a marketing partner who has tokens for you and use those tokens to boost the visibility. And that way, kind of all of that kind of ad spend that would typically go to Instagram's bank account and Wall Street is then actually going to be directly improving the token's demand, liquidity, and
Hmm.
also long-term value. So that way, everybody who has been rewarded with the tokens or wants to sell some of their tokens kind of
Hmm.
benefits from the advertiser's involvement.
What happens to tokens that are spent on the premium category? So one of the features that you have is when you post content, you can categorize it, and there's like countless categories that don't cost anything, but then you have a few select premium categories that cost favor points in order to get into those categories. So what happens to those tokens?
Yeah. So right now, kind of as we're in the beta phase and the tokens haven't released, it's all kind of
Yeah.
sort of virtual points in our backend. We're still a bit debating whether we're going to be kind of burning the used tokens or bringing them back into the treasury and then re-releasing. Kind of from a
Hmm.
tokenomics perspective, doesn't really make a big difference. It's more of a technical choice to make there. But kind of how we're actually looking at the premium topics are actually a pretty good example of when you kind of build like the tokenomics to be sort of aligned in also people's interest of high quality content. We're actually now going to be shifting a lot more of the earning towards the premium topics. So we're releasing like a bunch of new premium topics into the list and also making it so that previously you got actually 10 points for each time you receive a stake on any topic. And from now on,
Hmm.
you're going to be receiving 10 points if you receive a stake on a premium topic where you paid 50 points to post, and you're
Hmm.
only going to be receiving 1 point in the free topics. So that way, we've seen a lot of people just spamming the feed full of posts in the hopes of getting an odd stake here and there. But this way, we can actually improve the user experience for everybody else by making you sort of bet that 50 on the quality of your post. So if you're not expecting to get 5 stakes on your post, it's probably not going to be a very good post, and probably shouldn't be made in those premium topics. So that way we're able to kind of, through the tokenomics, try to actually gear towards a better user experience as well. And that's the problem with the traditional advertising model, where the more ads you sell, the worse the user experience is. Because in the end, like every third story you see is going to be an ad. Whereas here, kind of, the more the user experience improves, the more value the tokens will have. So it's also very much shifting sort of the alignment of things.
Is there also maybe a possibility of sharing those tokens back out to people that stake and interact with premium posts? So rather than burning them or putting them into a liquidity pool, literally just sharing them out to those that engage with it.
Yeah, that's actually a very good point, and we could definitely kind of include that into the cycle. Kind of currently, the idea is also that the folks who are kind of staking on content will also be rewarded for helping us discover the highest quality content. So again, kind of, if you're one of the early ones to stake on a post that becomes popular, then we reward you for helping do that. So kind of the equivalent of the Redditors who are brave enough to go and rank things based on recency instead of the most popular ones. And like without those people, you're never going to be getting the new high quality content to surface. But most people will still want to rather just see a pre-qualified popular feed. So if somebody actually wants to do that service and go through the most recent content and choose the best ones there, then they should be rewarded much higher than the ones who are just looking for popular content.
The last question I'll ask you here is, how hard is it, though, when you're building a new social platform like this, to figure out all the ways that people will try to exploit it? Because I can imagine that almost no level of testing is going to prepare yourself for it being available to 7 billion people.
Yep, it's it's been kind of eye-opening, and to a certain extent has been I've been losing my faith in humanity in a few cases. But at the same time, kind of like there's always extremely heartwarming stories on the other front that kind of bring it back. So kind of we did have one person who printed out 1,000 flyers in Bangladesh and kind of gave them out, Phaver flyers on his own, gave them out in a local football game. And now he had been invited as a local celebrity after that because we gave them a small sponsorship. Now he's a local celebrity, so he got invited into a cricket game to talk about Phaver in his area. And kind of these like tiny kind of stories out there, which are making up for the fact that at the same time we get 10 people explaining that, yes, I accidentally used my brother's ID for this KYC. How can I use another one? And well, it's my dog's and my cat's profile. And our village only has one phone, and all of us 20 people have been using Phaver on it. That's why it's the same device that created 20 accounts. Right. So you get very creative scammers going around. But again, I think like the cool part here is that the same people who make our tokenomics problematic are the same people who are making Twitter problematic, even if there is no tokenomics. So it's the multi-accounters, the botters, the spammers, and the bad actors who are kind of trying to shield their NFT as an auto comment after every single Twitter post. So actually kind of when we're fixing our tokenomics, we're also fixing the issues of squatters, botters, spammers, abusers. And kind of like right now we are using this sort of point system because we're able to still kind of remove people's points if they're clearly cheating. So we've been very honest and straightforward to the community that right now we're in the pilot phase. And if you are cheating us, we can tell if people are, for example, creating 30 accounts. It's very easy to tell from various IDs. So if you've created 30 accounts and made your points by cheating, we're going to be removing those points before TGE. If you've made them in an honest way, or if you kind of repent now and let us know which account you want to keep and tell us which ones you want to delete, then all is good. And we're actually seeing a lot of that happening as well. But this is the best penetration test. So we released this kind of pilot version out there, and we have 60,000 people trying to or maybe 20,000 of them are trying to figure out loopholes. So it's a great way to kind of, on the other hand, like it's not really
bounties, basically.
Everybody wants to make money the easiest possible way, and then it's our job to kind of make sure that those ways are actually productive.
And adding value. And I think what you're saying is it's not like don't lose faith in humanity. Lose faith in Web2. I think is what it is, because people have been taught ways of interacting through social, and obviously you've got like say Gen Z coming that are now kind of social native. Like they've not known anything other than social media to exist. I think we're probably still. I mean, I still remember getting an invite to Facebook when I was at university, because it was still only universities only at that point. So I'm kind of quite an OG on Facebook. So obviously I remember the time before that. And if you think the way that social's grown from the days of MySpace to now, like the level of bots and things, and hopefully maybe it being built on an internet and value through Polygon means that maybe there's a financial disincentive when you're doing like billions of Twitter bots. Hopefully it becomes that also brings it down. Do you think that might be a possible thing, that blockchain is going to make it less like profitable to run big bot farms?
Yeah, and kind of what we're trying to actually figure out is kind of how to balance sort of how to still give a good user experience for that honest user who just wants to come and use a social network, while making it hard for those people who are coming there to abuse the system. So what we're actually now going to be releasing is this kind of alternative verification, where you need to essentially clear one of the three options to verify that you're a real human. One of them is kind of a like typical KYC we're doing together with Galaxy. They released their Galaxy Passport, where you essentially show your face and your ID to the webcam, and in a few seconds it gives you a soulbound token passport to kind of show that you've KYC'd. But obviously a lot of people don't want to KYC, and we don't want to enforce that. So then the other options to verify are through your Web2 history. So we're working with Click, a company out of Singapore, who are building a soulbound token based on your Twitter history and your Discord history. You connect with those APIs and you prove that, okay, I've had a Twitter account for a while, I have legitimate followers, and I'm a real person. And I'm a real person on Discord who's been participating in discussions, and we can verify that. So again, kind of the proof of personhood is more important than proof of identity. And then the third option we will be using is certified NFT collections. So if you have something where, rule of thumb, the floor is above 0.1 ETH or so for any of your collection NFTs, then you can actually connect that to Phaver and kind of prove through that you're a unique user. Because again, we don't really want to charge everybody 0.1 ETH per account. But if you have something that's worth that, then already it makes it a lot harder to multi-account, because if you actually have like 2 ETH worth of NFTs, you're probably not bothering with creating 20 fake accounts to try to earn an extra $3. So kind of trying to also bring these kind of innovative on-chain ways to prove that you're a real user without having to kind of forfeit your identity or pay something that you can't afford.
Fascinating. Well, what's the next thing that we can then people can look out for with Phaver?
So a lot of cool stuff coming. So the NFT connecting that I just mentioned is going live next week. So then we'll have our first batch of collections, obviously the kind of blue chips like apes and punks, goblins. And then we had a really cool AMA yesterday with God Hates NFTs. So we had about 1,000 people joining in, discussing kind of the online censorship in Twitter Spaces. And luckily we weren't yet banned because of that. But obviously it's a huge issue on Twitter right now, where Web3 accounts are being kind of shadow banned and censored and blocked for very nefarious reasons.
I feel like I'm in there. Let's say I've got like 17,000 followers or something. My posts go out to a few hundred people at the moment. Like it's really frustrating. Especially when I actually use Twitter ads to promote some of my content as well. So it's not like I'm not giving Twitter money. Like I'm having, and that's what it means. So at the moment, if I've got like an article or a story that, or say the live stream that we really want to get out there, if I want to get it out to actually my audience, I've got to pay for that privilege. That's really frustrating.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very much the same that Facebook did back in the day, where they kind of asked you to first kind of advertise to get more follows on your page as a brand or an influencer. And then when you paid to get 1 million follows, then they told you like, yeah, actually now you have to pay to reach those followers. And all of a sudden you had them, but if you actually want to reach more than 10%, you have to buy ads for that. So I think there's something similar going on with Twitter as well. And again, a show off. If you're building an advertising monetization-based model, it does kind of like it's like the incentives are not in any way aligned with the users.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Right. Jonathan. I'm just gonna go Jonathan. I can't do
Jonathan
it.
is good.
I try. I will try. I don't like using like alternative versions of people's names because obviously it's part of your culture and such. But anyway, it's been an absolute pleasure having you with us today. What can people do? Join the Discord is probably the best thing for them to do, isn't it? I'd say at this point, because
if you want to try out Phaver, download it from the App Store or Play Store. Phaver, Phaver, and you need an invite code. You can use the code, either try to spell my first name for extra points for me, or if it's too hard for you, then just use the code earlybird. Earlybird, and with that you get in. And then we have those ways that I just described coming soon, where you can actually get your lens profile as well. So we are one of the partners who are helping whitelist for lens, and we're doing those at around 1,000 per week right now. So the new soulbound tokens based on your Twitter history, as well as the KYC based on your ID, are now going to be released next week. And then you're going to be able to, with those, prove your identity and get the lens profile as well.
Fantastic. Well, I'm looking forward to it. Well, I love the platform. I'm posting on it most days, and I just want to see it succeed. It's decentralized social media. I'm all for it. Have a great day, and wish you all the best with the launch of all that stuff next week.
Awesome. Thanks so much.